Hi, this is Tracy Phillips from Mindless Crafting, and welcome to my Made It Con class. This is the Shabby Chic Tag Pocket tutorial. I'm so glad you can join me. So let's get started. So in this class, you're going to have several things. So I love to upcycle packaging, and what I have is the base for your pocket. So it's already pre-cut. Imagine this is going to turn into this. So look how gorgeous it looks, the before and the after. Look how nice that looks. So feel free to use whatever packaging you might have in your home. I love taking things that don't look too good and turning them into something that looks really pretty. So in your package, you're going to have the base. You're going to have something like this for like a bookmark or a tag. You're going to have a tag shape. And here's another tag we're going to be making as well, something a little bit wider. You'll also have some jute twine, some really pretty ribbon. So instead of this ribbon, we're going to substitute it out for this ribbon right here. And look how cute that is. It's a burlap ribbon. And then you'll have a bag filled with some little gems, actually some charms. So you'll have some charms to put, you can hang on your, let me show you right here. It's easier to show you. You can hang them on your tags. So look at that. So imagine you're going to take you're going to just make these transform from this to this, or from this to this, I should say. Okay, so we got 3 tags that we're going to be making, and you may have some extra in some of your packets, but this is going to be super fun. If you feel like along the way you want to do something a little bit different, please feel free to do that. This is some fun inspiration for you. We also have some tulle so that we can add some tulle to our project. And then if you want to switch out some of the jute twine and maybe use some baker's twine, it's up to you. And I'm going to show you how to take these stamped out flowers and turn them into these flowers right here. Look how cute though. So you're going to learn how to do that, and you're going to have fun doing this. So once you learn to do it for one flower, you can do it for so many different flowers. You also might want to have on hand this little tool here. And so this embossing tool is going to help us turn the flowers into this. But if you don't have that, what I find is if you use something like a rounded edge, like this little pen here has a rounded edge, you can also take that, see how this is, to help form your flower also. So if you don't have this, it's okay. You can substitute with something else. Okay, you also want to have, of course, some scissors on hand. And I pulled out some markers because the color theme that I'm going with is going to be somewhat different from this color theme, and it's going to match the paper. So you should have paper in your packets also, and all the papers are not the same. You get to pick and choose what you want to use. And so these are the colors I'm thinking about going with for this project. And I put in some extra papers in case you want to do another one of these tag pockets. And I almost forgot, you're also going to need something to punch a hole. Okay, so I have a crocodile, but if you don't, you can just use a regular hole punch if you don't have one of these. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, and you don't have to do it in this order, but I figured a larger size would be better to cover this first and then cover the smaller size. So you want to pick out your paper. And there's so many to choose from, and they're so pretty. So I put some larger papers in your packet, and those are to cover the pocket itself. And then I put some smaller papers so that you could cover the tags. Okay, so you'll have enough to do that with as well. I think the hardest part is picking out the paper. So I'm going to use, let's see, I'm loving this green here with the musical notes, and look how pretty that looks. But I also like this right here. So you don't have to use the same color. So you want to cover 3 sides. So look, you see how that packaging is? Look at that. You want to cover the back, the inside cover, and then the part that makes the pocket here. And oh, I almost forgot. You're going to want to make sure you have some glue. I love art glitter glue because it dries clear and it's got a really good hold for what you could use a stronger tacky glue if you want also, but this should work fine. And I might end up distressing the edges. The paper already looks distressed, but if you want it more distressed, I happen to have my distress ink on hand in the Vintage Photo. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this process started. I'm going to want to have something like this, possibly on this side here. So you want to kind of see where you want this to be. But let me just make sure, and I want you to do this too, make sure that this lines up okay in case you have to cut some down. I tried to cut it as perfectly as possible, but just in case you may have some sides sticking out, you can cut it just so that at least it lines up really good with yours. But you should be good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and see, this one would look really pretty, maybe in the corner here, so that it kind of shows through on that. Maybe this on the back, and maybe this for the front area. Okay. Alright, so let's start with the back here. And this is the larger space. So what I do is I want to make sure I have this flower on here. I want to make sure I've got that on there. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue on here. And I don't need a whole lot of this glue. That's the most wonderful thing, is that you don't, a little bit goes a long way with this glue. And this is a larger area, so you might not want to go too close to the edges, like I just did. Okay, and we're just making sure that I get that part on here. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this over like this. I'm trying to get as close to the edge there as possible. I could just put it right in the middle, but I want to savor all of this pretty paper so I can use it for later. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of smooth this out real good. And I'm just using my bone folder to smooth it out. Sometimes I use my hand and just kind of rub into it. Okay. Then I'm going to take my scissors and just cut right around here. And I wish we could all be sitting in a classroom right now, or some area where we could just all be crafting together and going through the whole process of this. I think that would have been really fun. But hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to meet one another face to face. Okay, so I'm just cutting around this as close to the edge as possible. And I always tell my followers to go ahead and just take your time doing this. There's no rush. Enjoy the process. If there's a part of the video where you're kind of like feeling a little bit lost, hopefully you won't, just, you can pause or go back and rewind. So that's the nice thing. This is a video that's just for you. Okay, so that's what the back looks like. So the transformation has begun. Okay, and now let's do that part that's going to be like on the front area there. I'm really loving that. I want to get as much of this color in here as I can. So right in that corner there, that's where that's going to go. Okay. Now I have in the past, I've actually ended up gluing the wrong part. And end up missing the design part that I want on there. But you're not going to do that. You'll be okay. Not too close to the edge. And this paper will really hang on to this. My thing is, I just love using this packaging to just transform it, whether you're making bookmarks or gift tags, or you're taking a tissue box and you're covering it with decorative paper to put some gift items in there. I just like to see that transformation. And so it's almost become an addiction for me to do this type of crafting. And just kind of flattening it out there. How smooth, such a smooth finish. So it really helps with the smoothing for that paper to really adhere. And look how smooth that is. There's no bubbles or anything underneath there. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut. So I'm going as close as possible to that edge. And you can use this as a template. So if you wanted to trace some of these shapes, like the tags and stuff, onto some boxes you already have or some packaging that you already have, you could do that as well. Okay, so look how pretty that looks already. Look how pretty. Okay, so we'll put that to the side for a minute. And then we're going to start on this one right here. And I can go with that part right there that has that little bit of like a greenish in it. Or I can go on this side here if I want. It just depends. So now if I turn my pocket this way, I can have it on this side, right? Or if I want it slanted going this way, I could do that too. Just like this. So you can flip it and have it like this on the other side. So it's up to you. Now another thing you can do is you can trace this. If you said, hey, I want a back and a front, you can do this on both sides. Just trace this onto some packaging and then you can have it on both sides. Pocket there and a pocket on the other side. Front and back pockets basically. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover this. And I only need to cover this on one side. Okay. Let me make sure I don't mess up my paper there. Yep, and if the video is too long, you could always stop it and then come back and do it, you know, make it a 2-day project. You know, the video is yours forever, so there's no rush. Okay, I'm going to put my pen in here. Just to unclog my glue. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this on and make sure I got the right side there. I want it over to this side here. So once I have it where I want, nice thing is that with the art glitter glue I can kind of wiggle it around before it dries. Okay. I'm just going to cut this off right here. Okay, and that's what we got. Look how smooth and neat that looks. Look at that. So if you want this to all match, then you could just match, you know, keep both papers on there, but you don't have to. Okay, so now if I wanted to say, hey, I want to distress some of the edges, see it's already got a distressed look anyway, I can take some of this, take my sponge here. Now I even use something like this to distress as well. So it's up to you. This is a cut off piece of sponge that I use, or I can use this tool right here. And I can just go right around here and distress it. And that's just another idea if you want to do that. So just make it your own. And I know you probably have papers in your craft room or your craft space that you want to use, and this is a perfect project to use up some of your paper to make your project transform, right? No need in holding on to that fancy paper, right? Just go ahead and use it and make something beautiful. And there you go. Okay, I almost forgot. Let's see. Don't forget the back part. We don't want to leave the back out, so. So I'm not sure if you can really see this. But look at that. Just a little bit. That distress really makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this little piece. I notice there's a little white showing through from the other side. Just cut that off. And now we're ready to glue this piece down to this. Just like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to glue this part, run some glue there, and this part. Do not do this part here. Don't do this middle part here, because that's where you're going to stick your tags in. Ask me how I know, right? I've done that before. So we're going to go here. Right along here. And then we're going to go upside here. And we're going to go ahead and glue that down. And you see this little part right here is sticking out. So I'm just going to take my scissor and cut that down. Right there. So that it just kind of matches up real good there. And so that's what we've got so far. So it's coming along. Let's go ahead and put this off to the side and get some of our little tags here that we can work on. Okay, so we got these tags in 3 different sizes, and we've got our papers here. This paper is really pretty. So let's see if that one would fit. We're going to do this on both sides. And sometimes I don't use the same paper on each side. So it's just up to you. Let me just show you some of these papers that I have here. Let's see how pretty this is. I want this to look really colorful. So I'm liking the way that looks down there too. That's like kind of matching the paper there. See? Something like this. It's probably one of the hardest parts is picking out the paper that you want. So let's see what happens with that. Maybe throw some pink in there too, right? That's really pretty though. Okay, we'll see. Okay, so let's go ahead and we got enough for that. So I could make that fit if it doesn't fit perfectly or the way I want it to. I can make it fit, but I think it's going to be okay. One of the things I love doing is making tags. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's like a easy little weekend project that you can do. I think that's why I love it. And it's a great way to recycle. Makes a good kids craft too if you wanted to have the kids do something. Make some tags or bookmarks. Okay, right around the edge there. And we got really close with the edge there. Look at that. Okay, let's see. And, let's see if that'll fit. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. Put it that way. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's do it this way right here. Just put it like that. I just like seeing what it looked like before and then looking at the after, and it's like, oh my goodness, look how cute that looks. I've done this with circles, circle tags, I've done star shape. There's just so many different shapes that you could use. Squares, rectangles, and I've even added them to my cards when I do greeting cards sometimes. See how easy that is? Alright, look how pretty that looks with that little bit of lace on there. Oh, that looks so cute. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. Just throwing up just a little bit of pink. So I'm not having mine all matching. I'm just kind of having fun with this. See, that will fit. That'll fit too. You are not going to be looking at your packaging the same, okay? Once you do this, everything now becomes a craft supply. Ask my husband. No one in the house wants to throw out anything until I inspect it. Okay, there we go. Let's see if we have enough for the other side. Let's see. I did want to use that one too. See how decision. So I'm going to use that one with the stripes on it. Okay, and we're going to just lay this down right here. Smooth it over. And go ahead and cut this out. Look how cute that is. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do this third one, and then we'll come back and we'll start on our next part. Okay, so look how adorable these look, covered on both sides. Okay, and so now if you wanted to go ahead and distress these, you can. And these tag pockets would be good for, you can make a ton of them the same size and make an entire book out of it. Use some book rings, punch some holes in the sides here. 1, 2, 3 maybe. And then have a ton of these all lined up to make like a tag pocket book. It's just my mind just going. It's nice when you're crafting and you can think of other ideas. Okay, so I'm just going around the edges on both sides. And you may be asking, how long is this supposed to take? And you know what? There are no time limits on your crafting. It's something that you love to do, and it takes you as long as you want it to take. But just make sure that you're enjoying it. And if at any point you feel like you want to change something up, or you know, you want to do something else, go with another color or put a different ribbon, you could go ahead and do that. I've been inspired by so many projects, and sometimes the thing that I thought it was going to look like turns out to be something different. This doesn't need much on it because it's already pretty distressed. Okay, a little bit on this side. Okay, and so that's what we've got. Okay, and we're moving right along. So let's see. I gave this a little bit of time to dry, and you see how those just fit right in there. Look at that. So let's see. Yep, right there. It looks like it could hold another one if you wanted it to. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our ribbon. And look how cute that is. It's right there to there. So I'm going to cut it off right there. I always like mark my place here. Just eyeballing it. Right there looks good. And I'm going to add a healthy amount of glue on there. Hopefully I won't have to break out my glue gun, but I think my art glitter glue is pretty good at holding down these heavier ribbons. So this is like a burlap ribbon. Just hold that down for just a little bit so that that can dry. Oh, that's holding really well. Get that. And then if you wanted to come along here with it, you can also. Okay, so now let's go ahead and punch some holes in here so we can get that part done. And I don't really measure like center. I just kind of see what it looks like and then I go from there. And I'm really loving this tool right here. This was given to me as a gift. And I really like it. Okay, and for this one, we want to have two holes on the top here. One here and one here. Because I'm going to string some twine through that too. So actually for this, I think I want to try to center it. Now if you want to get out your ruler and measure it, you can. I'm just going to take one of these. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Right there looks good. And right over here looks good. Just like that. Okay, so right here. And right here. That looks pretty good to me, right? Okay, so let's go ahead on to the next part. We need to go ahead and make some flowers. So let me get my markers out. And we're going to do some coloring. So grab your markers or your pencils. I'm going to show you how to make these dimensional flowers. Okay, and so these flowers, I'm so addicted to these flowers. This is probably one of my favorite stamp sets. And this stamp set is called Spring Blossom. It's from our Mindless Crafting Spring Blossom stamp set collection. And I absolutely love that flower. Okay, so I add a little bit of a shade of pink to this because I noticed that I have some pink in here, so I want to tie that in too. So all these colors kind of blend in. You don't have to use all the colors of your markers or if you're doing colored pencils, whichever. It's just up to you what colors you want to use. But I thought the pink would be cute to add in there. So I'm using my Tumbo markers. And this one is just a darker shade of pink. So one of the things I love doing is coloring. So I'm just going to kind of show you the process on this one flower, how I color this in. And how easy it is to cut it. And then I'm going to move on to the other part and show you how to add the dimension onto it. You are going to be amazed. Okay. And maybe I'll add something different, like a little bit of green in there, and then for the center part. Or something like that. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just cut this out, and I need to show you how I'm going to cut this. So I'm trying to take you through the whole process, but I'll do this first flower for you so that you can see it. And if you like this style of crafting, I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel, Mindless Crafting. So don't be shy. Go ahead and subscribe. Okay, so I'm just cutting into this area here. And fussy cutting is one of the things I love to do. And of course, cutting with my cutter bee scissors as well. So okay, so now once you do that, I want you to see the dimension that you're going to add to this. I want you to go ahead and cut into your flower, right? So you have it kind of like the length almost all the way on that line up to the mid part of the flower, just a deeper cut. So you don't have to go all the way up, but just at least close to it. So you see it makes you have much more of a petal. And you'll see what happens when we start to make the dimension on these. You go in a little bit more on that. Okay, so this is what it should look like for right now. So we still got another step to do, so I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and color in the rest of these. I actually have 6 of these. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to go ahead and make our dimension. Okay, so here are the flowers all colored in. And what you're going to need is some kind of a piercing mat. But if you don't have one of these, you see how that? It's nice and used, okay? So if you don't have one of these piercing mats, you can use some foam. You know, little, sometimes they have the 8.5 by 11 foams, or they have some of the smaller foams. You can use those to get the same effect as this, but you need something where it's going to press in for when you're shaping your flower. So you need something like that. You can also use a mouse pad. So if you have a mouse pad, this will do the same effect as the piercing mat. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to need something just a little bit damp. And I just have like a wet wipe right now. So let me show you how I'm going to do this. Let's take that pink flower, right? So you're going to turn it over. And I'm just going to dampen my paper just a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's just say cardstock. This is like a white cardstock. It's like a 65-pound cardstock. Okay, so you're going to take your embossing tool, and if you don't have an embossing tool, you need something that has like a rounded edge, like you see how that is. You could use that too. Okay, so what you're going to do while your paper is damp, you're just going to start doing this little spirally thing. So you don't have to wet the paper a whole lot, but I'm just taking the larger end of my tool, and I'm just going in a rounded motion And you don't have to do it too hard. The paper will start to form itself. Did you see how that is? It'll start to do its own thing. All right, so it's rounding on its own. Just take your time. And I just kind of do it one-handed, let it do its own thing. Just let it do its own natural thing. And so I'm just going around and around. Let's do this part right here. And you see how it's curling up? See how that flower is just curling right up? It's doing its own thing. Nothing fancy, but it surely works. So once I learned this technique, I was so addicted to doing this. And it's a great way to enhance your projects and your cards, you know, whether it's card making or scrapbooking. These are really cute on the cover of journals. So you see how that curled up? So now let's turn it around like that. So you see how that is? Now you're going to just press it. Just press the middle. It's still a little bit damp, the paper, but you don't want to make the paper too wet. And I'm just going to go in the center there, just like that. Just like that. And now you've got a dimensional flower. Look at that. So you went from that, just having it flat, to having a dimensional flower. And if it doesn't have enough dimension for you, you can go back in and just be careful and do more. Yep. If you want to curl up more. So once you learn this technique on one flower, imagine what you could do. And there are different sizes of these embossing tools. Okay, so if you didn't get that and you just want to go and look at this again, you could rewind the video. Just keep looking at it until you get it. And just follow along. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and then we'll start to glue them down on our project. Okay, for my last flower, I actually want to demonstrate how to do it using one of these like this little gel pen has a rounded edge. As long as it's rounded, it should work. Let me show you. Something like this. All right, this is a Sharpie, has like that somewhat of a rounded edge. So let me show you how I do that. So we want to wet it, turn it over, wet it. Just a little bit. This is not really damp either, but it's just got a little bit. You don't want to wet your paper too much. Okay, and so then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go just like this. Right, and now it starts to make that curled up edges, just like this. Just in case you don't have an embossing tool. But I think it's a great tool to have in your craft room. So I'm just taking it, and look what I'm doing. I'm just turning my hand, right? Making it turn, and that's how it starts to curl up. So same effect using a different tool. This is one of those things you could do sitting in the couch and just make a bunch of flowers, right? Okay, and then I turn it over, and then I'm just going to go like this in the middle. Let's see if you can see that. My hand might be in the way there. Okay, so you get that same effect. And so there's all of the flowers, and they're ready for us to put them on our project. Okay, so you can place these wherever you want. I'm just going to use my art glitter glue and place them here and 3 down here. Or you can just go right across. Imagine if you had a lot of flowers just going right across there. That would be pretty too. So let's see, maybe green. Let's see, the brown one. And then over here, so you see how the colors tie in there? Look how adorable that's starting to look. Super cute. Okay, so these are very light, and all I'm going to do is take my glue, stick that right on there. These work perfectly. And these don't take a long time to dry once you do that dimension on them. And sometimes the watercolor, I just used watercolor markers on these, and sometimes they might bleed just a little bit, so just be careful with that. Especially when you wet the paper, it might bleed a little bit, but it's okay. It's supposed to be shabby, right? Shabby chic. And that really adds to it. Just having those. Imagine if these flowers were flat, they just wouldn't pop as much. Okay, another thing you can do with these flowers, before I forget, is you can add some like sparkly stuff like some Stickles, or if you have a little gel pen, you can do add some little areas to enhance it. Like see right in the center of the flower, now I can add a little bit of gel. Just right in the center there. So I like my Stickles. My Stickles really help here when I'm trying to enhance. So just depending on how much you want, these take about maybe about 10 minutes to dry. They dry pretty quick, depending on how much you use. So I'm just kind of using a light coating on that. And then if I want to go around the edges, I can do that. So it's just up to you. So yeah, this is where you get to bring out your other little crafty tools to kind of add these little enhancements to your project. Okay, and I'm going to do this one. And you might hear some rumbling in my craft room because we're actually got some thunder coming. Rain and thunder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on our tags. Okay, so now we can take our tags and start to decorate. You should have some twine in your packet. And let's see how much I want to use for this. Okay, so there's a couple of easy ways to do this. We're just going to string this up on here. So like I love this big one here because I can just either side, just depends on what I want to use here. But I think I'm going to use this side right here and just pull that through, right? And so if I want, I can open this up just a little bit here and take some of my tool, right? And then just pull it right through that little, so this little area right here, I'm just going to pull it right through there. I love Tool. If you want to ever enhance your project, use some Tool. And you don't need a whole lot of it. Like this right here will fluff up. Just like that. And then if you want, you can cut it a little bit shorter. It looks really fluffy. All right, so now you have that. Then what I did was I put some charms in your package too. Okay, so we can add some charms. And this is where you just start to kind of enhance your stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to put that through there. Okay, so I'm going to add my charm on here. And I'm just going to tie a little knot there to keep my charm on. Nothing fancy. All these little enhancements really help. So I'm just tying it on there. Simple little knot. And now you have a charm on your... Okay, here's another way to do this. So I could tie it on like that, but then you can actually, let's go ahead and do this so I can show you. Let's take this off of here. Right. So I can do it like this. Put your charm on. Like that. So I'm going to just tie a knot there. Just tie a little knot right there. Now I'm going to just take my charm and pull it through here. Pull it through there, and then I can just string it up like that. Now I'm just going to pull this a little bit. Just like that. And now I can make another knot if I want to. And now you have a little charm on there. Okay, and let's go ahead to the third one. This one I'm going to put some, this is a really sheer pink. You could barely see it. So I can just take this and do, see how I have that? Just pull it through just like I did the jute twine. And now you just have this going on like that. There's so many different ways you can do these. Okay, and now I can put a flower on here. All right. I mean, one of my favorite sites I love to visit is Pinterest. So many different ideas you can get on Pinterest. Look how pretty that is. And if I want, I could add a charm onto, I think I'm going to stick this. I could add another charm on here. Make sure I could get it through that hole there. And if the hole is too small, let's see, I think I have one with a bigger hole on it. This little starfishy one here. Yep, that one's bigger. And just pull that right through. And now you got a little charm on there. Okay, so now you got 3 tags here. And if you want, you can stamp something on there. You can write some words of encouragement on there. It's just up to you. Okay, so let's go back and look at this. Now we have enough to do a couple of these. Now if you look on here, what I did, let me pull this out. I just strung this through a couple of times, and then I tied the charm on there and just left a simple bow. So that's one of the other things you can do. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I want this to happen evenly. Let's see. I'm starting the front. Just going to keep going through until there's no more to pull through. And I can make a simple bow in the front. And then, let's see, I'm determined to get a charm on there. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this works this time. Yep, there we go. A little star charm on there too. And I'm going to just tie it in a knot there. And I'm going to tie a simple little bow. Okay, cut that part off. Okay, so now you got your charm on there. And I'm going to just pull that through a little bit more. Pull that down a little bit more. Okay, just like that. It's got that shabby chic look. And then if you want, you can take some other little ribbon that you might have. Let's see, I got some. Take some of your crafty ribbon that you already have and just add some stuff on here. Just adding to the shabby chic. Just to add some little enhancements. Add that on there. My flowers are dry now. So I'm going to put that in there. Look at that. Okay, now I can take some of my other ribbon that I have here. I could put some along here, put some across the top. I want to put it across the top because I want it to kind of stand out more. So I'm going to put it like maybe right here. Right about there. I hope you're still hanging in there with me. If not, take a break, pause the video, take a break, and come back to it. Okay, and that's what we have there. Tuck that inside there. And then we got our little pink here. I think I'm going to use some of this. It's amazing what a difference these simple little things can do. Just simple. Just simple stuff. And then we're going to just tuck it right in there. And I'm going to cut some of this off here. Cut a little bit off there. So you could always go back and kind of do something else with your, you know, just little things. Take a look at what you created and go back and cut some things off if you want. Look how adorable that is. Cute. And then here's the other one. Let me just tuck everything inside there. There you go. Now, if I want to, let me just get one of these other papers. Let's see. You can take elements of these and add to your see, look at that. You can take little elements of some of these. So if I wanted to use, let's see, something like this right here, all I have to do is just kind of cut along the edge here. Let me just show you what I'm going to do. Just other little enhancements. See that? I'm just cutting right along this area here, just to add a little bit more. Now I'm going to go around this little flower here without cutting too much into it. And hopefully it will fit. So you see what I'm doing here? I want a little bit of that pink in there. Keep that pink around there. Let's see what happens when I do this. So I'm just going to put just that bare little bit right there. Just right there. Glue that on. And you don't have to do this, but I'm just trying to give you another idea of what you could do. Okay, and then I'm going to just take this. If I wanted to, I could add more of these flowers in too. Okay, so here's the finished tag pocket. Look how adorable those are. Wow. And I didn't add anything to the back, but if you want to decorate the back, you can. Like I said, if you want to make like a booklet with tags and stuff, you can kind of punch holes in the sides and build your own kind of booklet. Look how cute that is. All right, you can double up and make another pocket here so that you have one on both sides. Let me show you this other one too, so that you can see how many things you do with it. Here's another one. So you can do so much with these. It's just incredible the amount of ideas that you can come up with these. Look at that. More bookmarks. Just trying to show y'all what you can do with this. And you notice the paper doesn't match exactly, but it still works. Look at that. So you got all three of these pockets, all unique and different and super shabby chic. Thanks for joining me for my Made It Con class. I really appreciate you coming on this crafty journey with me. It's been so much fun being able to teach you, and I really appreciate all of your support. So, hope you have a wonderful rest of 2020. If you need to, look in the description box and you'll see some other things that you can use in your projects. I'll have a supply list down there for you of other optional things that you might want to use for this project. And I'll see you real soon. And don't forget, I'm also on YouTube under Mindless Crafting. That's my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram under Mindless Crafting. And we also have a Mindless Crafting store at mindlesscrafting.com. So you can visit us there as well. I'll see you soon. Bye.